So, Seb, why has the US proscribed the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organisation?
Well, very simply because it is the progenitor, the grandfather, the originator of modern jihadism. In 1928, just 4 years after the dissolution of the original caliphate under Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the first president of the Turkish Republic, the Ikhwan Muslimin was founded in Egypt. It is the grandfather of modern jihadism. Its ideology is very simple. All human beings must convert to Islam or be enslaved or killed. Every modern jihadist organization, from Al-Qaeda to ISIS to Hamas, can trace its lineage, its ideological genetic code back to the Brotherhood. This is something that should have happened 25 years ago. However, we had presidents who were ignorant or who were anti-American, like Obama and Biden, who didn't do it. Why did it happen? Because it had to happen, and the only president who could make it happen is the current incumbent, Donald J. Trump.
So what do you think is happening in countries that aren't proscribing the Muslim Brotherhood as terrorists? What is stopping them? Because you talk about it in clear terms. Why are other European countries not going the same way?
Well, it could simply be ignorance again. It could be lack of intestinal fortitude, or it could simply be political correctness run amok. The idea that if you speak truthfully about the Muslim Brotherhood, you are accused of being a racist, despite the fact that Islam is not a race, or simply you are beholden to those forces that wish to undermine Western civilization. And there are many reasons. I would say the primary one is no excuse. It is the lack of fortitude, the lack of courage to speak truthfully about the threats that our civilization faces. Remember, this is a truly civilizational threat of civilization vice barbarism. Just look at October the 7th. Look at what Hamas, an ideological jihadi organization, wrought against those innocent men, women, and children. Go back in time to the UK, to 7/7. Look at the London Bridge attack, on and on and on. This is a them or us conflict between the West, the greatest civilization the world has ever seen, and global jihadism. And now that we are back in the White House, we are calling it what it is: global jihadism.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Have you had pushback from Muslim organisations in the US against this? Because I'm just trying to picture what would happen in the UK if the Muslim Brotherhood was prescribed a terrorist organisation. There would be so many loud voices that would say this is Islamophobic, as you said, this is racist, this is not politically excusable, would be the language. And that's not necessarily about the phrase you've used there about intestinal fortitude, which I love, by the way. I think it's about the fact that there has been a capture, perhaps, of powerful organisations which wield an awful lot of influence in the UK politically and electorally, perhaps. Have you seen any of that pushback here?
Well, look, to be brutally honest with you, Bev, I really haven't seen as much as I expected, having dealt with this issue of jihadism for nigh on a quarter of a century. But I think the bad guys have been reeling. They've been in shock since January the 20th, simply by the pace of what we are doing here in the White House. So whether it's, smiting drug boats, building the wall, deporting 1.7 million illegals, pardoning turkeys just a few hours ago, whether it's the tariff system, whether it's getting NATO to pay 5%, whether it's what we have done in the Counterterrorism Directorate, we have authorized, or the president has authorized, the killing of more than 412 leading jihadists around the world. And the president, likewise, through his special envoys, has liberated more than 76 Americans from their status as hostages. So we are moving at such a rate of knots that the bad guys, the NGOs that have captured so much of Western civilization here in this country, I'm sure they're going to start, and there'll be the court cases, there'll be the propaganda campaigns. But given the monumental, tectonic enormity of what the president did yesterday in the Oval Office, no, the response has been pretty pathetic, which means the good guys are on a roll. And just wait till Stephen Miller, the Homeland Security Advisor, starts dealing with the domestic aspects of this. So yesterday was the foreign terrorist organization designation, but it's just the beginning of what we are doing.
What will it mean in the practical tools that may now be at the disposal to deal with the threat of jihadism, which weren't there prior to this change?
Yeah, great question. So the FTO statute, the law that allows the president to designate entities as foreign terrorist organizations, once that determination occurs, a whole panoply, a veritable smorgasbord of options is thrown open in terms of sanctions that can be used, tools that the Treasury Department, the great Scott Bessent, the intelligence community, the FBI can use. If you are found, for example, once that entity has been designated as an FTO, a foreign terrorist organization, if you're an American, or if you're an American NGO or a company that is found to give a red cent to this entity, if you give aid and succor to these individuals, you are committing a federal offense, which is called material support to terrorism, and you can go to prison. So it's this whole slew of options that opens as soon as that entity has been designated. And let me guarantee to you that whether it's the Treasury, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the Justice Department, we will be utilizing every single one of those options until these entities are combat ineffective, fold, or every single one of the people that is helping the terrorists is in prison.